Welcome to Platypus Scotsman. Hope you're having a fantastic day. And if this is your first time, glad you could join us. If you're coming back and you're subscribed to us, I'm glad you're coming back, and hope you enjoy this video. This video is going to be a basing tutorial for tabletop miniatures. I will not be putting a miniature on the base. I'm just going to show how to do the base, but it's going to be a concrete base. And I've already done one tutorial like this, but it was way back when I first started out, and I had a different GoPro and the sound was horrible, so it is what it is. Anyway, I want to try and figure out a faster way to do it, so I'm going to do it with Sculpey instead of with Merlin's Magic like I did before. But anyway, let's go. This is parchment paper. I have 2 sheets of it. I'm using it because it has silicone in it and doesn't stick to my Sculpey. This is a block of Sculpey that I just smashed out with my fingers to try to get down to a certain level. Hopefully it's thin enough I can work with it. But this is I think it's 1/16 by 1/8 inch basswood. That's just going to be my guide. I'm going to use you can use anything that's round. I'm just going to use this can. This is screen patch. It just comes like this. The mesh is a little tight for rebar, but for what we're doing, this is just a really fast, easy way if you're going to do a bunch of them. And you can also doctor it up when you're done and tear things out, and there's all kinds of things you can do. But this is a perfect size for this size of a base. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this down here. And start rolling it out. Looks pretty good. Yeah, just cut this in half. And then just put the mesh down. And I'm going to line this up. Gently pull it off, and we have our basis for our rubble or cement or whatever. So now what I want to do is I'm going to take 220 grit sandpaper. I'm just going to give it some texture. Now I'm going to bake it 275 for 15 minutes. It's still a little warm, but not too bad to the touch. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to draw a circle on the other side, not the side that has the texture. At the bottom. That didn't work well. Use a magic marker. Because it's still a little warm, it's still pliable, but it's not too bad to the touch. Now you can do it with your fingers, or you can do it with a device like this. Problem with this is it kind of leaves a straight cut, but it gives you a little bit more leverage. I'm just going to take a wire brush tool a little bit just to roughen up the surface. It's going to give it a swirl look, or swirl it. This is a nail punch, and what I want to do now is I just want to apply some damage to it. So I'm just going to use this to see if I can break it. Normally in a previous video I cast this stuff so I don't have the problem with separation, but it's interesting that I'm running this problem. But what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to glue some of the pieces back together. So that's interesting. I didn't realize that would happen, but that's okay. Let's roll with it. But I did another video where I actually made a cast, but it was early on and I had a bad GoPro at the time, and so the sound was really bad, so I couldn't use it. So I went ahead and glued it to the base with some super glue. So now it's on the base. Hangs over a little bit, but I like that sometimes. But you don't have to if you don't want to. Now I'm going to go prime it so we can paint it. Now that this has been all primed, I'm going to do some cabinet gray on it. Yeah, you can do pretty much any medium gray if you want. Thin it down a little bit, so I'll probably have to do 2 coats. But that's okay. It applies easier this way. I'm going to do a no-oil wash now over this, or glaze, or shade, or what have you, whatever it's called. I'm going to be liberal with it too. One thing is never put a fan on this stuff because it doesn't turn out very well. I learned that the hard way. It kind of makes it a really shiny, hard to deal with finish. Now let's let that dry and move on to the next step. The first dry brush I'm going to do is with the Hippel Gray, or just a kind of a darker gray, not too dark, but just darker. I'm going to dry brush some cabinet gray now. I'm going to kind of go lighter, don't want a lot of paint on my brush, and just kind of see how it flows. Now I'm going to do a final gray, which is a really light gray, but this one's called Drizzle Grey. I'm going to have very little paint on my brush, and I don't want to apply a lot of it. I want to be light with the touch. This is just to kind of bring out the highlights, the edges. What I'm going to do now is paint sepia, or sepia. I'm not going to wash it, I just want to selectively apply it. I'm going to do Drucci Violet now. When I do this one, I even want less, but I just want to add some purple into this. I'm going to come back with some Drizzle Gray and just kind of bring out some highlights a little bit more. I'm going to paint a stripe with Aberlin Sunset now, and hope I don't screw up everything I've just done. This is Hippel Gray. I'm just going to go kind of touch the one side just to see what that does. If I darken one side of it up, kind of get a fake shadow. This is Hippel Yellow. Hippel Yellow. Just gonna kind of touch up the edge right here just to give a little bit of highlight. This is brown iron oxide. I'm just gonna hit some of the wires a little bit. Now I'm gonna paint the bottom black and call it good. So I did a tutorial before. It's an older tutorial, and it's also before I had a decent GoPro. But I also did, it was a more complex tutorial where I actually did it with Merlin's magic and cast it to where the metal is actually in the stonework. So when it broke it apart, they actually stayed inside instead of separating like this. But so this is the difference. Well, that's a wrap on that video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something from it. A couple things that I figured out. One is use a lower grit sandpaper. The 220 was not enough. It didn't leave enough texture to make it worthwhile. And then I don't know, Sculpey pinching that mesh between the two, that didn't work out very well. It came apart. I had to glue pieces back on. It was kind of frustrating a little bit. I don't know how. I could probably remedy that somehow, but I don't know. But anyway, if you have any questions, comments, just leave them below. And I'd like to thank all our patrons for supporting us and supporting the channel and helping us along the way and making things easier for us. If you want to check out a lot of the pictures of the final products that we have them on Instagram at Platypus Scotsman. You can check them out there. And we also have a Facebook page, Platypus Scotsman, as well. Oh, yeah, we also have a blog. You can check us out there too. That's probably gonna have more whips and things like that. It'll also have our YouTube videos, but we're gonna probably have more whips there and try to have more finished product on Instagram. So I thought I'd be able to do a simpler, faster way of doing concrete. I have to admit that I'd probably resort back to the other way I do concrete. I liked working with Merlin's magic better. I also like the way the rebar was in the middle of the cement versus being sandwiched between. I think if I could make the two pieces adhere better, I'd probably do that, but I think I'd have to probably somehow flatten it out more to where it adheres and less moistening it. I don't know if I'll experiment with it more, but I plan on doing more bases. I've had some requests for doing more bases tutorial. Oh shit! I've had more requests for doing a miniature basing tutorial, so those will be more in the future. Also too, if you like the video, just share it with other people so I can get the word out and help us grow a little bit. And hope you have a good night. Hope everything's well with your hobby and you're having a good time, and most of all, being happy with your hobby. That's the most important thing anyway, is being happy with your hobby. And just remember what my mother used to always say, that anybody can do art. Ciao.